I'd like to welcome to Art in the Air Spotlight back again after his May 29, 2020 interview. You can listen to that on our website. Is Joe Rauen, and he's going to talk about an event coming up where he is performing. And we haven't had him on, though, but he'll talk a little bit about the unique instruments he has, an arsenal of one-of-a-kind instruments that he plays on, like banjos, clarinets, but they're not exactly what you'd get off the showroom store. Joe, welcome back to Art in the Air Spotlight.
Aloha, everyone.
Yeah, aloha, Joe. Thank you for remembering.
Well,
Yeah.
tell a little bit about the instruments that you use. They're definitely unique. They're never one of a kind. And I know you perform all around the area here in Northwest Indiana. And then we'll talk about the event coming up at Elastic Arts in Chicago.
Yes, I'm a hybrid artist-musician, and I make my own musical instruments out of things from the hardware store, things from the kitchen, things from the trash can. And they're all fully playable working musical instruments, but they're also beautiful, sculpturesque, and sometimes bizarre creations. And so I've got an arsenal of about 24 of those, and I perform compositions and improvisations for willing audiences wherever they'll have me.
What has been your most current instrument creation?
Well, I've got something that I don't know exactly what it is, but it's made out of like a conga and a speaker cone, and it's got a hockey stick and cane for multiple necks and a and a part of a ceiling fan. I have this part of a ceiling fan that I've just been dying to use forever, and I think it's finally ready to be implemented. So that's a representative sample of the sort of things I make.
Do you ever sell your instruments? I mean, do someone say, "Oh, I really would like to have that instrument"?
Sometimes people do, but what I really want is for people to make their own musical instrument, because I like it's a kind of a collage, and I see things that catch my eye and I say, I'd really like to have that as a playable thing. I tell people, you do that. Go find something that catches your fancy and see what it speaks to you, that it wants to become, rather than just buying mine.
So how long does it take you to conceive of? I guess you don't design the instrument so much as you create it out of whatever materials you have. But tell us about that process.
I would not say I design them. I think of them as improvisations, and this is kind of at the heart of my practice, is that I've been very interested in improvised music. I was a student at the Berklee College of Music, and I studied jazz, and so the art of improvisation, is explored in the context of jazz. And there's something kind of nagging at me about whether or not you could, improvise the instrument, for example. If you could improvise the music, could you improvise the concert, or could you improvise the instrument, or could the audience be improvised? What were the boundaries of the improvisation? So I think of these instruments as improvised, and in the same way that for example, jazz is improvised on a form. You might take a written piece of music, and then you extrapolate, and you find parts that get passed back and forth. That's sort of what I do with instruments. I find, if a ceiling fan catches my fancy, I don't claim to have invented the ceiling fan, but I say, okay, what can I add, and what can I play with, and is there something else that mirrors the form of the ceiling fan? So that there's elements of repetition. So they're kind of improvisations in physical space.
Well, and that particular one sounds very large. Is this one that sort of is on the floor and you play it like a bass or something, or a cello?
No, it's particularly fun when an instrument is awkward and unwieldy when I still wear it, because I think it gives people a sense of the physicality. I've got some that are enormous, and whenever I heave one of those things up onto my shoulder, and I'm sort of dwarfed by the size of it, I can see the reaction in the audience, that it goes from being sort of a abstract thing that people see, oh, it's got weight, it's got heft, and now he's going to have to contend with that. They may be sort of like watching a juggler. They think, like,
Well,
is he going to,
kind of like
is he
Dick
going to
Van
fit?
Dyke. It's your Dick Van Dyke moment.
Yeah.
Now, you perform all around the area, and we'll very briefly here hit on the thing in Chicago. But where are some places that you performed in Northwest Indiana and nearby?
Let's see. They just had me at South Shore Arts at the Center for Visual and Performing Arts in December. That was a lot of fun. And I made my Paul Henry's debut not too long ago. I've been kind of a hangers-on at Paul Henry's for a long time, but they they finally had me for basically my own night. So that was a lot of fun. And I've been, at the Art Barn, and where else have I been in Northwest Indiana? I guess those are some of the most well-known places. As many of the local libraries, I've been checking off the libraries one by one in the Lake County system. So that's always a good place to play. People like coming to the library, and I like being there. So,
well, in our final minute here, we want to give you a chance to tell about what you have coming up in Chicago.
Yes, I'll be at Elastic Arts on March 5th for their Thursday night improvised music series. If you're seeing improvised music in Chicago, you're probably already familiar with Elastic Arts, but they're a great hub for improvised music of all kinds. And so I'm going to be joining them for a Thursday night session, me and one other artist to be announced, but me for sure.
That's great. And transporting several of your instruments there and doing that, and there'll be a wonderful evening of music with you. So that's Joe Rauen, and your website is joerauen.com, and you can see your whole schedule there. And again, that's at Elastic Arts in Chicago. That's 429 West Diversey, and it's a Thursday, 8:30, March 5th. And it'll be the Improvised Music Series. Joe, thank you so much for coming to Art of the Air and sharing your musical journey, your special musical journey, and your new performance.
Thanks so much. Hope to see a lot of you there.
Yeah, have a fantastic time.
Thank you.
Art on the Air Spotlight and the complete 1-hour program on Sunday is brought to you by Ember Forge Consulting, with end-to-end expertise in learning strategy, design, and implementation. Ember Forge turns your organization's knowledge into impact. To learn more, visit emberforgeconsulting.com.